One of the things I remember about '97, the '97 garden, was during the build-up, Tony Blair was elected. You know, this was a big change. The Conservative government had gone, and Tony Blair was elected for the first time.
Yeah.
And there was a feeling of change in the air, I think, and that was the idea with the garden, to do a new garden at Chelsea, something which hadn't been done before. The thing for me, I'd been studying historic gardens. I'd been doing this postgraduate course in historic gardens, and the gardens that interested me the most were the 18th century gardens with a sort of narrative and story. And so that led to the idea of the Virgil being an inspiration of the 3 stages of his life. But I also just wanted to do an historic garden, but also a modernist garden, and those 2 things were very important to me. But that probably imposed a lot of problems in terms of the build. I mean, what do you remember about the build?
I remember so much about that build because it was the first true big garden that I had built at Chelsea.
All right.
And on the first day you turned up, I don't remember this, but you turned up with a set of drawings that were down to 0.5 millimetre. Well, the team and I looked at these drawings and we thought, crikey, what are we going to do? Because we didn't even have a tape measure that went to 0.5 millimetre. And we had all sorts of problems with the water feature.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure I was completely honest with you at the time. But it did seem to leak quite a lot more than, you know, I had the idea.
I'm pleased you didn't tell me about that at the time.
Actually, it's all coming back to me because one of the things that during the breakdown, but the people who took the steel frame, there's a big pane of glass, and they decided the best way of getting rid of the glass was to smash it. They came along with a sledgehammer, smashed the glass. Do you remember this?
Well,
it sort of fell to the ground.
I didn't see it, but I had to pick up the pieces because the RHS came along and asked me to clear the whole site.
Yeah.
We had to dig the site up.
Yeah.
Everybody else seemed to be making nice, rather charming brickwork walls with roses growing over them, and ours was full of blockwork. And most people thought it was the laboratory block being built. And it was only until the last stages that suddenly it came together as a garden which was very structured. Most of the layouts were very symmetrical before, and this was much more dynamic.
Yeah.
And I felt was going to make good use of the site, and I think it did. There was a feeling of change. We'd had that sort of this rather nostalgic view of English gardens, I think at Chelsea, done to a very good standard, but mostly herbaceous borders, and it was time for a sort of freer aesthetic, really.
I remember thinking, well, let's do the normal thing of, you stuff in sort of 20 or 30 plants a square metre. Yeah. And you come along with one iris that you looked after lovingly, sort of, don't touch it, and you plant it and put it in the ground, and you look at it and actually put nothing else around it. It was very different to the normal Chelsea. Yes. And that was significantly different, I thought. Yeah.
It's a long time ago, but
is it 16, 17 years ago?
Is it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
There's a thought.
Oh.
And we're still doing it.
Yes.
Mad.